Two nations. Similar populations. Similar economies. But only one is positioned to dominate the next 20 years, and the answer will shock you. Right now, as you watch this video, the global conversation around emerging economies is shifting. Analysts, investors, and world leaders are quietly comparing South Africa and Mexico, two giants from different continents, both fighting for relevance in a rapidly changing world. And the results of that comparison tell a story that mainstream media is not telling you. Today, we are breaking down the full picture: the economics, the geopolitics, the resources, and the trajectory, because understanding where South Africa stands relative to Mexico is not just an academic exercise. It is a mirror that shows us exactly how powerful Africa can become. Let us get into it. Let us start with the foundation. The historical context. Because you cannot understand where two nations are going without understanding where they have been. Mexico and South Africa have more in common than most people realize. Both were colonized: Mexico under Spanish rule for nearly 300 years, South Africa under Dutch and then British colonial domination from the 1600s all the way through the 20th century. Both nations emerged from those systems carrying deep wounds: inequality, resource extraction, and economies designed to serve foreign powers rather than their own people. But here is where the paths diverged in a critical way. Mexico gained independence in 1821, nearly 170 years before South Africa held its first democratic election in 1994. Think about that. Mexico had almost 2 centuries of a head start building institutions, infrastructure, and trade relationships. South Africa was still dismantling apartheid, while Mexico was already a founding member of NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, which tied it directly into the world's largest economy, the United States. So when people look at the numbers today and say Mexico is ahead, they are telling only half the story. They are not accounting for the fact that South Africa has been a functional, open democracy for just 30 years. 30 years. And in those 30 years, what has happened is nothing short of remarkable. Now let us talk about the current situation, because this is where it gets fascinating. As of the most recent data, Mexico's GDP sits at approximately $1.3 trillion, making it the 15th largest economy in the world. South Africa comes in at around $400 billion. On the surface, that looks like Mexico wins. Case closed, right? Wrong. Here is what that number does not tell you. South Africa has the most sophisticated financial system on the African continent, more advanced than any other African nation. The Johannesburg Stock Exchange is the largest in Africa and ranks among the top 20 exchanges globally. South Africa controls access to some of the most critical minerals on Earth: platinum, palladium, chromium, manganese, and gold. And right now, in the age of electric vehicles, green energy, and advanced technology manufacturing, those minerals are more valuable than at any point in human history. South Africa holds over 91% of the world's known platinum reserves. 91%. The electric vehicle industry alone is projected to require 4 times current platinum demand by 2035. Mexico has oil. Mexico has manufacturing. But it does not have what South Africa is sitting on. And here is another dimension the Mexico versus South Africa conversation is missing. South Africa is not competing alone. It is the most powerful economic anchor of a 54-nation continent that is undergoing the most significant economic transformation in modern history. Mexico is one country of one continent. South Africa is the gateway to Africa, a market of 1.4 billion people, set to reach 2.5 billion by 2050. Like this video right now, help more Africans see this story that CNN and BBC are not covering the way it deserves to be covered. This brings us to the key players, the forces shaping this comparison in real time. First, you have China. China has invested over $300 billion across Africa in the last 2 decades. But their relationship with South Africa specifically is strategic at a level that dwarfs their relationship with Mexico. South Africa is a member of BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, a bloc that now, after the 2024 expansion, represents over 40% of global GDP. Mexico is not in BRICS. Mexico is economically tied to Washington. South Africa is building relationships across the entire global south. Second key player, the African Union and the AfCFTA. The African Continental Free Trade Area, which launched in 2021, creates a single market of 1.4 billion consumers. When that trade zone reaches its full potential, an economies project that will happen within 15 years, South Africa, as the continent's financial hub, stands to benefit more than any other single nation. This is not speculation. The World Bank projects that full AfCFTA implementation could lift 50 million Africans out of extreme poverty and boost African income by $450 billion by 2035. Third, young people. Mexico's median age is 29 years old. South Africa's is 27. But Africa's overall median age is 19. The youngest continent on Earth is building its workforce right now. While Europe and China face aging population crises, while even Mexico faces demographic pressure in its northern states, sub-Saharan Africa is producing the workers, consumers, and innovators of the next 50 years. Subscribe right now for honest, Pan-African analysis you will not find on CNN or BBC, because this channel exists to tell Africa's story the right way. Now let us talk about what this all means for Africa, the Pan-African picture, because this is why this conversation matters. When the world compares Mexico to South Africa, they are often using outdated frameworks. They are looking at GDP, they are looking at trade volumes with the United States, they are using the old scoreboard. But the game has changed. The 21st century is not going to be won by whoever has the best access to American consumers. It is going to be won by whoever controls critical resources, whoever has the youngest and most dynamic workforce, and whoever builds the strongest intra-regional trade systems. South Africa and Africa are positioned to win on all three fronts. Look at what is happening right now. Nigeria is building a tech ecosystem in Lagos that rivals anything in Southeast Asia. Kenya's M-Pesa changed global mobile finance before Silicon Valley was paying attention. Rwanda transformed itself from tragedy to one of the safest, cleanest, fastest-growing economies in the world in less than 30 years. Ethiopia is building the Grand Renaissance Dam, the largest dam in Africa, asserting energy sovereignty in a way that no African nation has done in the modern era. And South Africa sits at the center of all of it. It is the financial engine. It is the legal and institutional framework that foreign investors trust. It is the country that, despite real challenges, inequality, unemployment, load shedding, continues to be the reference point for what African governance and economic ambition can look like. And yes, South Africa has serious problems. Unemployment is above 30%. Energy infrastructure has struggled. Corruption scandals have damaged institutions. We do not run from those facts on this channel. But here is the truth: every major power on earth has gone through a period of internal crisis during its rise. The United States had a civil war. China went through Cultural Revolution. Germany rebuilt from total destruction. The question is never whether a nation faces challenges. The question is whether it has the foundation, resources, and position to come out the other side stronger. South Africa does. So what does this mean for Africa's future? It means that the Mexico versus South Africa debate is actually a preview of a much larger global shift. Within the next 20 years, at least 3 African economies, Nigeria, Ethiopia, and South Africa, are projected to enter the top 20 global economies. The International Monetary Fund has already flagged Africa as the fastest growing region in the world for the coming decade. Every major tech company, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, is building data centers and innovation hubs on the continent right now. When people search Mexico versus South Africa, when they pull up Global or World trying to figure out where these countries are and what they mean, what they are really searching for is, who is the future? And the answer, if you look at the data honestly, points squarely at Africa. South Africa is not just competing with Mexico. South Africa is competing with Brazil, with Indonesia, with Turkey, for the title of the defining emerging market of the 21st century. And it has something none of those countries have: an entire continent rising with it. This is the moment. This is the decade. And the Africans who understand what is happening right now, who study these comparisons, who track these trends, who stay informed, will be the ones positioned to lead. Now I want you to go watch this next video right here, because it goes even deeper into how South Africa is positioning itself inside BRICS and what that means for the rand, for African trade, and for the continent's independence from Western financial systems. You do not want to miss that one. The outlook is clear: South Africa's best decades are ahead of it. Not behind it. The resources are there. The youth are there. The continental market is being built in real time. The only question is whether the leadership, political and civic, will rise to meet the moment. And based on everything we are seeing, the answer is yes. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Do you think South Africa will overtake Mexico's GDP by 2040? And which African country do you think will be the biggest surprise economy of the next decade? Let us build this conversation. Comment right now. Let us go.